It is April 1st, 2021. We're here in the backyard of the property located at 5025 Mount Hay Drive in San Diego, California, 92117. So here in the back, we have outside our kitchen window, we have a 2-inch ABS cleanout. So this is newer ABS pipe, and we can actually see from the concrete cut line here, it appears that the old cast iron was completely abandoned, and it looks like this line was rerouted. So we're going to go inside this pipe right here. See, we immediately make those couple turns, and then we're headed across there. We're going to pull this out for 1 second to double check the depth. So it looks like that camera was bottoming out at about 16 inches. Double check this here so we can double check their depth. 16 inches, about 10 inches deep. So it looks like when it's under this concrete, it might be about 8 to 10 inches deep approximately. So we'll go into this 2-inch pipe right here. So we're now in the horizontal line that somebody had replaced. So this is outside of the house actually. Now the place is vacant, so we did run a bunch of water when we first arrived here because we're checking for areas that hold water, what we call a sag. The pipe is supposed to have 1/4 inch of slope for every foot it travels, so every 4 feet it should be an inch deeper. Now our camera, besides the distance counter on the left-hand side of the screen on the bottom, also does show a tilt, which is this, the angle the camera is sitting at. Not always 100% accurate, but can give us an idea. Now you can see right here we're coming across a huge amount of fat and grease that have built up in the pipe. So either the people put a lot of stuff down, way too much, or it's been this way for the replaced pipe has been this way a long time and it's never been cleaned, or it has improper slope and things are binding and catching up. So we do show a positive degrees on our slope, but we haven't seen standing water. But we got this huge amount of grease and fat and sludge built up in the line. That really is going to have to be cleaned out. Yeah, you can see right here, there's just walls of this. So this 2-inch pipe here, we're only 13 feet in, and basically it's about from here to the corner of the house is it's about 33 feet, so there's another 20 feet still to go. So this line is just really clogged up, and it's going to need to be snaked and then hydrojetted. So a snaking can help break some of these chunky stuff up, but to really remove it all, it's going to have to be flushed with high volume of water. Possibly a chain knocker system with running water, otherwise a hydrojetter. So this line is just really clogged up and just completely backed up. We did run water through here when we got here, so it is draining out, but as you can see, we're not even going to attempt to try to push through this even more because it'll probably end up clogging up the pipe completely where it won't drain at all. So this line definitely needs to be cleaned. So we're going to go walk around the side of the house and move our camera equipment to there because this line continues and they have additional cleanouts on the side. Okay, so we came out through the backyard. We're now here on the side yard, and as we pan across here, you can see we have 2 cleanouts right here that they added in the line. Now farther ahead up the garage right here where you can see the dryer duct sticking out the bottom left or middle of our screen, that's also where the laundry was rerouted and redone. Small point, but inside the garage the trap and the standpipe is 1.5 inch ABS. It is required by code to be 2-inch. They do have 2-inch as the whole drain line after the trap and trap arm, but that was done 1.5 inches and it is required to be 2-inch. So we have these cleanouts right here. These are actually 3-inch. So we're going to go and look down this 3-inch one here that's going to sweep back towards the origins of the kitchen line, which we couldn't get all the way across because it was holding water. I'm not sorry, holding water, but tons of debris, fat and grease. Now we do have some standing water here. So this pipe is holding water right here. And so it does appear that this line right here, again, was not completely put in the right way with proper downhill slope. So you can see we're traveling for quite a few feet. And there we go. Looks like we're finally starting to kind of come out of that. There we go. So now this is just for the kitchen line. We did go ahead and again run water through all the bathrooms when we arrived here because it's vacant. And this line that was rerouted was just for the kitchen and then eventually the laundry here. This is not for any part of the main sewer. The main sewer is still under the house, and we'll have to go up on the rooftop to get access to get into that line. So you can see we're kind of blurry and cloudy here because there's just a lot of fat and grease that catches on our camera lens as we're headed through here. There's a little bit of more standing water, but that helped clean off our lens there. So continue to push through here. So we're getting close to the corner of the house right now. The distance we're at, yeah, and here we go. Here's those 90-degree turns that we're going to encounter, or even a couple 45s. Now we're headed back across the backyard here, headed back towards where we left off that we couldn't get through because of all the buildup. Again, the image is still a little blurry because fat and grease just really doesn't rinse off the camera lens, like they're shed off of it like normal debris. So you can see here again, the pipe wasn't put into code. It's also got a bunch of standing water here as well. The camera's going completely underneath a little bit. So again, there should be none in the line whatsoever. So we've got these couple different pockets that we've gone in through here, starting and stopping. So they didn't achieve proper slope. It looks like the cleanouts where we started here, the pipe was about 21 inches deep. So for this distance that it has to travel of about 60 some odd feet, about 65 feet, it would have to fall about 16.5 inches. And we know that it was starting around 8 or 10 inches deep at the beginning of the kitchen line. And if it only went to 21 inches, then at best that's about 13 inches. So that's about 3 inches short, and it could be worse. But that's why you're seeing those couple pockets of standing water. And that's why then, you know, in some of these areas you might be seeing all this fat and grease being held up. Now, you can see all that stuff right there is caked up on the top of the line that's floated up. Here's a little bit more standing water, and then same thing on the top and sides. You can see all that grease and fat that's floated up. One, it's not draining out, and maybe also they were just putting way much more than you should have, but either way, the line is not perfect. It could just be maintained, but you can see all this is really going to need to be cleaned up. So we're getting close to that. Since we're coming in reverse to that other line where we stopped at the 13-foot mark, as you can see right here, we're at 50 some odd feet out. So we're getting really close to where we left off, coming in the other direction from the kitchen cleanout. So we're going to stop here because we're about to encounter a bunch of that heavy buildup and getting close to where we left off, and it's just going to clog up the pipe, which we cannot do since we're here for the purchaser, not for the seller. So we're going to go now and pause and pull this camera out. Okay, so from the two cleanouts, we went from the farther one away as you go down the line. So the first one here will continue to sweep in the direction of flow now. And we'll look at the rest of this pipe. So as we go across here, actually looks like they use PVC pipe here. So it looks like we transitioned from 3-inch ABS into 3-inch PVC, both plastic. So we'll continue across this line here, and again, this is just for the kitchen. Now we should be coming up here in a few feet on the T-junction that's going to pick up the laundry. So again, a little bit of standing water in the pipe right here. Yep, there's our T right there. So that's actually the black ABS T that they used to pick up the laundry. So that's where the laundry dumps into the line. And then we continue down here. A little bit of standing water, but nothing huge here. A little bit of water still in the pipe. And again, you can see on the bottom of our screen here, we're kind of wavering in between 0 and plus on occasion. So that's why this is holding water. They don't have proper slope on the pipe throughout the whole line. So again, this is just for the kitchen and laundry though, so it can probably all just be maintained. I don't think I'd recommend digging up and replacing this entire thing, but the line should be snaked, chain knockered, and or hydrojetted to remove all that fat and grease. It is extremely heavy in multiple areas of that kitchen line as it's running through the backyard. once we get to this side here that we've been looking at, it looks pretty good, not really holding much debris. Okay, so we have a turn on the line right here. So this PVC going back into ABS. We have a vertical downturn right here. Back to PVC again. Looks like they used ABS for the turns just. Another turn right here. Back up a second here. Yeah, a little bit of water hanging out there. It looks like we're transitioning back to cast iron. So there's the cast iron right there. Need back up a little bit. There's the PVC. Back up across the line right here. That's our first turn. Okay, there's a T-junction they used right here. So if you look at the top of the screen, there's an indentation with a curve, like an arch, in the top of the ABS plastic black pipe. They actually used a Y fitting, a T-junction right here as part of this turn, and did not see a clean out in PVC or ABS on the front yard. So they just used the T, but it's not been brought to surface, or at least it's gotten buried over time. So then this line makes this turn right here into this cast iron, goes across. So now it appears we're in the sewer line for the actual house here. So if we were to go ahead and run the water, and we do have some standing water in the pipe right here that's not really draining out. So you can see we've got improper slope right here, or a little sag to the line. So our camera is completely underwater right here. We'll keep pushing through this here. Okay, we kind of came out of that right there. Now we know that there is a sewer clean out in the front yard for where the city workers had replaced the property line after the sidewalk and probably relined the pipe. So that's probably what we're in right here, is the relined section of the pipe, and there you go. So kind of came out of that water that's standing there. So this was originally the 4-inch clay sewer main, and this was relined. So we'll push through this pipe right here and continue down the line here, see if we can get the rest of the way out. So we're in the street right now, headed out. And there's the city pipe right there. So this is the end of the lateral line for this house. We'll back up. Here's the turn, and here's the drop, and here we're dumping into the large pipe in the street, where all the neighbors also junction into the system right here. So the lens has got a little bit of debris on there, so it's a little bit foggy, but we'll go ahead and pull back on the line right here and re-look at this one more time, and then we'll go check the main sewer from the rooftop to look across and see how everything's connected for that, and if there's any issues with that. So right now we're in the pipe that's for the entire house that we access from this kitchen and laundry rerouted line, which junctions into the main sewer in the front yard just before the sidewalk area, essentially. You can see the numbers and the letters on the top left of the screen. So that's the relined pipe that the city contractors did right there. And as we back up right here, there's a little bit of standing water at their spot that they dug up the line, it looks like, for that coating process. That's the water we were going underneath. A lot of times they don't do real clean work, unfortunately. Nobody checks their work. It's not too bad, but again, it's really not like it's fixable per se. So here we're back in some original clay, it looks like right here, that's before the reline section. And then here again we come up this little piece of cast iron, and then there's the turn, the T-junction where our line tied in for the kitchen and laundry. So we've seen all that. So we're going to go ahead and pause and move up to the rooftop right now. Okay, so we're now here on the rooftop of the house. We're right here above the 2 bathrooms, which are on this side. We have our original 3-inch cast iron vent. 2 bathrooms are back to back, that's why there's just one vent, and then the vent will branch off to catch the other ones with some T's, the other fixtures. Looks like we've got a little turn on the line right here. The 2 toilets are offset, they're not exactly back to back with each other. So this will lead directly into the beginning of the main sewer. Here's where the 1 toilet dumps into the line right there. That's what that T-junction is on the right side of the screen. And here's the transition from the vertical into the horizontal sewer. We're going to push through this kind of fast to make this turn cleanly. There we go. So we're now in the original 3-inch cast iron sewer main for the house. There's another little turn on the line because, again, the 2 bathrooms, even though they're back to back, they're offset. So far this pipe looks in good condition, completely functional. We're looking for construction debris, any objects farther out, typically any root intrusions, and then same thing, any cracks, breaks, or areas that are holding water. Everything looks nice and open. We have a minimal amount of deposits or scaling to the pipe. That typically happens with cast iron, especially on the bottom and the bottom sides. You can see a little bit right here, but it's negligible. A little bit of mounding right there, but not a big deal. A little bit of standing water right there, just from that small amount of mounding. You can see we're going up and then down and over, but same thing, it's very small, very minor. Doesn't need anything to be done to the line. You've got some debris on the top of the pipe right there. It looks like those could be some beginnings of some small roots trying to intrude in the line. You can see some more of those little white colored looking roots right there, little stringy pieces. It appears to be roots. It's just really hard to say. They're very, very small, but they're getting in from the top of the pipe. So we're right about 40 feet out from the vent right here. Again, I can't say if that's some kind of debris or if those are some really tiny things trying to grow into the line. We'll see if we see anything further up, but it's going to go back over this a couple times here. Really hard to say what that is. It could be some very small fine roots possibly starting to intrude. We'll go ahead and locate this. We'll pull back to the 40-foot mark, but first we'll continue down the line right here, because that 40-foot mark is going to be really close to where it's possibly like in the front yard, or depending if they went straight through the garage, it would be in the garage for the distance we're only out yet, not all the way to the front yard, I don't believe, past the garage, unless it's offset. Could be going at an angle, and a lot of times they don't run it under the garage slab at all. Seen any other areas, seen a few other spots that has kind of that mounding on the top on occasion, but no roots. So those again may not be roots, but we'll pull back to locate that. We can still continue to go down the line right here so we can junction into where the kitchen and laundry eventually tied into the main and then all the way out. There's some more of that little debris. Same thing right there. We got that debris on the top and those small little white pieces, which identical to what we saw back at the 40-foot mark. This is right at about the 50-foot mark or so. And it's very weird. We just can't tell. And this is about the clear as you're going to get with the camera, the model we're using. Anyway, we'll continue down the pipe here. Again, that little bit of buildup on the bottom of the pipe, but nothing huge. Okay, another little spot right there, and then same thing. Those look like a little bit longer right there. Those do look like little tiny roots trying to get into the system right there. So I think the top of the pipe might start getting to be compromised and starting to grow in those few spots. So we got at 40 feet, 50 feet, and then right here is right at about 56 feet. And then you can see we have a transition coming up with a different piece of pipe. So we'll locate these. And they're on the left too. It's like almost little fungi, little tiny things. So maybe it's not roots going in. Maybe it's some other debris, but typically that's what's going to be, is little root intruding there, growing into the system. Now here we do have clean out right here. You can see there's a vertical clean out on the top. And as we go forward, there's another vertical clean out. So there is ground level clean outs, it appears. We'll have to see where these are located at. We didn't notice them walking across the property, but we always like to go from the roof vent anyway to really get the full scope of everything in case anything was not vented or disconnected somehow. So there's the clean outs that were installed, and then it transitions back over to the cast iron. You can see right here, they didn't do a really super clean job of literally cleaning the cast iron. So the bottom of the cast iron, as we saw earlier in the pipe, gets that buildup and scale deposits, those little undulation and hills you go up and over. And when you cut a cast iron, you're going to see that thickness built up into the pipe, and so you need to clean that off with a carbide bit to create a slow ramp, essentially. Doesn't mean it's going to eliminate all the little bit of standing water that you get, but it'll be a smooth transition for things not to hang up on. Now, we don't see any debris right here, so again, it's pretty minor. I don't think it's going to cause any kind of issues, but especially for the camera, it's going to try to ride over. There we go. Went over not too bad. You can see the pipe here is a little bit more flatter on the bottom. We don't see that roundness like we do on the top and sides. So there's a little bit more heavy debris right there that's just built up, but still no really heavy root intrusions. Okay, you can see right there, that's an original property line clean out. So you can see on the top right of the screen, the pipe opens up and goes up. That's the original property line clean out, which is typically anywhere from a foot to 5 feet in front of the city sidewalk. And that's where then this makes a vertical change in the pipe. So that horizontal is now a vertical pipe. And then here you can see right here, this is our transition that we ran into where the kitchen and laundry were dumping into the system. So right here is where they branched into the line, and that's where that kitchen is all tying in. Here's that little bit of piece of cast iron that we saw right after that. So this is now where everything is all in one pipe. And then as we continue past here, that little bit of cast iron, and then we turn and we go across, and then it eventually goes over and will tie into the new pipe that the city contractors put in, which is this area that's also holding water when they dug it up. So we've seen all this already from here past the sidewalk out to the street. So we'll pull back up across here. So just a few feet ahead, again, is where they redid all the pipe. They put a clean out in after the sidewalk, and then they relined the rest of the pipe after that one dig up area. So we're now going to go ahead and back up on the line right here, and we'll go ahead and pull back to those few areas that have those little bit of buildup. And again, we can't say 100% with certainty that those are small roots starting to get into the pipe. It appears that it could be, but at this point in time, it doesn't need any cleaning of that area, and it doesn't need to be replaced or repaired. The only thing that you could do if you wanted would be to do a foaming chemical that kills roots inside sewer pipes. It's called Robic Foaming Root Killer. It's spelled R-O-E-B-I-C. You can buy it at Home Depot and Lowe's in stock at the store or online, and they also sell it online, I believe, at Amazon and Walmart and other online retailers. So here are these ABS cleanouts that we have right here that they installed. We're going to go ahead and pause right here, and we'll go ahead and double check to see if these are exposed and brought to surface. Okay, so we have located this pipe in the front yard, and it is under the grass, but these are not brought to surface. So the pipe that we're sitting in is about 2 feet 11 inches deep to the bottom of the pipe. And then again, as we back up here, you can see those are the T-junctions right there. There's the sweep in right there, and then there's the other sweep. So we painted this with some green paint on the front yard, so if there ever was a blockage, excuse me, or a stoppage, you could go ahead and dig up this dirt. We don't know how far they extended these to surface. They should have been brought all the way to surface, and then maybe put a landscape cover box to protect it from the landscapers cutting the grass or anything. But we poked and prodded around the dirt a little bit, and we didn't hit any tops or any covers. But it could still just be a few inches below the top. We just don't know, since we of course didn't install that. But we've got this marked in the front lawn so that for future reference everybody knows where they need to dig that up slightly to get these uncovered and more visible for any emergencies that could ever possibly happen with a blockage on the line. So now we're back again to that original cast. So you can see right in front of that the ABS and the little bed of that front yard where we have it marked. That's that first little area there, which might be a suspect of little tiny roots trying to get into the pipe right there. It does appear that the line must pass under the the concrete slab of the garage, because that's right where we're next to, and we're headed straight in, or in the middle of, I should say. So as we back up to 50 feet here, I know this is where we had one of those other little pockets right there on the line that we were unsure of. So we're going to go ahead and just pause right here underneath it and locate that out. Okay, so we've located and marked this little weird area right here. It's a little suspect. Again, it's very minor, as you can see, but if it is the beginning of the failure of the cast iron, and those are tiny roots getting in, we just want to know and have a record. So this is in the garage under the concrete slab. The pipe is about 2 feet 3 inches deep right here, and we've marked this with some chalk. And we'll show the paint markings and the chalk markings for these two that we've marked so far when we bring our camera down to ground level. So we're now going to go ahead and back up another 10 feet so we can look at that other 40-foot section where we did notice some of that other debris. That was it right here. So on the top you can see all that little bulbous material, and then some tiny little white stuff, almost like the beginning of little tiny roots. So we'll leave our camera right here. We're going to go ahead and pause and see if this is still in the garage. Okay, so this is in the garage as well. We've marked it with some chalk. The pipe is 2 feet deep here. Go ahead and pull back and just show that little debris with that white little possible miniature roots trying to get through. It's possible. Okay, so we're now going to go ahead and move our camera down to ground level. So overall, the main sewer here does not have any real issues that need to be attended to at this time. The kitchen and line, before it even connects to the laundry, has that heavy buildup that needs to be cleaned up. So we'll move down to ground level and we'll show all our markings here. Okay, so we're here in the garage. So here's that first marking. So you can see there's the path of the pipe with the depth. That circle on the X is that first marking at 40 feet out. See where we're at. And then there's the 1.5 inch standpipe and trap for the laundry. Again, that's supposed to be 2 inch, not 1.5 inch. And then the line runs straight across from there. Picks up that other line you see right there. So that is the other one at where it says 27 inches deep with that circle X. That's that one at about 50, 51 feet with that other little tiny debris on the top. So we'll now move over to the front yard to show the markings there. Okay, so we're here in the front. Here's where we were in the garage through that window, and then kind kind of pull our camera down, you can see that large green paint mark. So that's where the ABS pipe is. There's the cast iron on both sides of it, but that's the ABS that they install with cleanouts that are not brought to surface, but you could dig up right there and eventually get to the lids and the covers to extend those farther to surface, or just put some irrigation cover boxes to show that. So we'll move right over to the property line cleanout the city put in real quick here. Okay, so across the front lawn here, right past the sidewalk in this frontage area, this is where the city contractor dug up the line. You can see their newer ABS PVC pipe cleanout that they put in. So they put in a little bit of PVC pipe just where they have to dig up the pipe, and then they spray coat and reline. So here's the transition into the horizontal. We ran some extra water down the pipe here to try to kind of clean it out, but as you can see, the area that they actually dug up and put in this new section is what's holding water. It was their work. As you can see, there you go, we come right out of the water right there, just after a few inches where we have some visibility, but it's still holding some water. So again, it's typical that they don't do a really clean job. I can't say whether or not that heavy water standing in the pipe is going to cause any stoppages. There's not much you can do as far as any recourse to go back and contact the city and have them and their contractor fix this the right way. But you've got cleanouts on the front lawn, and then this one right here that if it does back up, you may not even need to call a plumber. You might be able to use actually just a garden hose under full pressure, or a little pressure blow bag that can go on the end of the garden hose to clean this up before you even have to call a plumber, if it even backs up. We can't say it's going to, but again, it's not supposed to be holding that much water in the pipe. That will slow down the debris from moving down the pipe and could dam and build up and cause a stoppage. So I'll come back up out of this and see all that water, and here we're just coming back up the vertical. So it is still the homeowner's responsibility, that pipe. They just do that, read stuff in the street more as a courtesy, believe it or not, because it is your lateral line all the way out till it ties into the city large pipe in the middle of the street. So that concludes the recording for this property.